Hello, this is Ted Johnson with Marketing for Fishing Guides, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar, How to Get More Referrals, 7 Secrets. Who am I? Well, I'm a guy that loves to fish, and I have a passion for the fishing business. I'm also a certified business consultant and have started about 3 different businesses over the last 5 years. I consider myself an online, offline, and mobile marketing expert. And although I'm an old dog that doesn't know all the tricks, I do know what works and mainly what doesn't work. And you can take advantage of some of the things and the experiences that I've had over the years in getting referrals to your own business. Well, who is this webinar for? It's for guides and lodges who are tired of spending endless hours on the phone trying to fill their boat for the next day or fill their lodge for maybe the next year's fishing trips. It's for guides and lodges whose income is stagnated and they can't seem to increase it no matter what they do. Or it's for a guide and lodge who just wants to take their business to the next level. Before we get started, I've got to tell you that there was a book that I read back in the early 90s called The E-Myth. Now that book is called The E-Myth Revisited, and I've got to tell you that's the best business book I have ever read, and it really formed my life over the next 25 years on how I look at business. It's a quick read. It's only a couple hours, but I'll tell you what, I would imagine that you would feel also this is the best business book, if not one of the best business books you would ever read. Now, it's not specifically for guides and lodges. It can be for anybody that has a business, whether it be a hair salon or a grocery store or a retail store or whatever type of business you have. It just talks about the ups and downs and the challenges that we all have as entrepreneurs. And the E in the E-Myth stands for entrepreneur. So it's the Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Gerber. This book is available at Amazon. It's available in a number of different places. You can get it on your Kindle, or you can even get a hard copy of it, of course, and read it accordingly. Now, as this webinar goes on, I'm going to give you links and I'm going to give you ideas on free resources or low-cost resources out there, such as this book. I've got to clarify, I'm not an affiliate for the E-Myth. I'm not getting paid as a paid endorsement for the links and the resources I'm going to give you. I'm just going to give you things that have again, formed my life and helped me become a better business person, and I'm going to be sharing those with you today. Well, to get started, when we talk about doing business, people only do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust. And that goes for referrals also. You won't get any referrals or many referrals from somebody that doesn't know you, like you, and trust you. And so these are the 3 things that you need to build as quickly as you possibly can in somebody's mind. Knowing them, meaning that you have something maybe in common and that you've talked to about that item that's in common. It may be fishing, it may be family, it may be a sports team, but you need to have that feeling, or they need to have that feeling that they know you. The next thing is they have to like you. When they're sizing you up to go on a fishing trip with you or going to your lodge, they're thinking in the back of their minds, do I like this person enough to spend a day or a week with them? And that's extremely important in building that relationship. And then, of course, trust. Do they not only trust you for their safety, but do they trust you with the deposit they're going to give? Do they trust you that you're not lying to them in regards to the type of fishing or the type of fish you're going to catch and that sort of thing? So anyway, it's extremely important. When somebody gives a referral to you, they're putting their reputation on the line. And in most cases, it's the most valuable asset they have, more than money. If they don't know, like, and trust you, they definitely are not going to give you referrals because they don't want their reputation tarnished. And so that's extremely important. So when will people give you the most referrals? A couple of these may be a surprise to you. One of the times when people will give you the most referrals is when they first book a trip with you, even before they go out on a boat or come to your lodge. The reason that they will is that they're looking for validation from their friends or associates and people that they know. And so they're going to tell people, hey, I just booked a lodge with XYZ Lodge in Southeast Alaska. Man, this is the types of fish they catch, and this is what the facilities is, and I'm so excited to be there. You should go too. And so these people that have just booked a trip with you are prime for giving you referrals even before they come fishing with you. Another time is when you have a successful trip. Now, a successful trip doesn't mean that you filled the boat brimming with fish. It means that they've had a good time or they've had an enjoyable time with you. And of course, catching fish to a lot of people will, be one of those catalysts. But also, gosh, if the bite's just not on, a successful trip might be a great conversation with a guide that has, knowledge of not only the fishing but the local area, and you bond with that person. And so, I'm sure as a fishing guide or a lodge owner, you've been in a boat when nothing's biting, and you're kind of the person on stage. Some of my most enjoyable fishing trips are ones where I haven't caught as many or any fish. I've just gotten to know the people on the boat, and I've really enjoyed that, and I give people referrals based on that. Thirdly, when they feel they're being rewarded for doing so. Now, a reward doesn't necessarily mean cash or some sort of tangible thing. It could just be recognition. People will give you referrals when they feel that you're going to recognize them or give them some other types of reward. Now, a strategic point here. Know who's riding in your boat or coming to your lodge. It's extremely important to do a little bit of homework to figure out who's going to be in the front of that drift boat that day. Research their name on the internet. Research their URL on their email. So if it's Dave at xyzcabinetshop.com, then do a search on xyzcabinetshop.com. You're going to probably find out some very interesting information. A number of years ago, one of my sales associates asked me late one night to come on a sales call with him in the morning. And it was with a software vendor. And we didn't know a whole lot about this person, but we knew the guy was successful, and there was a reason that we were going to meet. We wanted to establish a strategic relationship. And I asked the salesperson, I go, well, what do you know about this person? He goes, well, nothing other than they own the software company. And I said, well, give me his email address, give me a little information on what you got. I'll do some research and I'll call you right back. So anyway, we got off the phone. It's about 11 o'clock at night. I jump on the internet, and at 11:30, I call the sales guy back. And I go, do you know who we're meeting with? And he goes, well, yeah, it's Don from XYZ. And I go, no. This gentleman, right, started one of the largest pet supply retail chains in the country. And he's also started a couple other retail chains. And just by doing a little bit of research, we found out more about this gentleman, how successful he was, and we were able to build a strategy based on that information the next day for that sales call. And you can do the same thing with the people that are going to be on your boat. Get to know who they are. You'll be surprised at the success that people have had and how that can help you then in building a referral base. So here's secret number one. Now, some of these secrets you're going to go, well, that's not a secret, Ted. Well, it is, because a lot of times, because a lot of people don't do it. And the first one is consistency. Be consistent in everything that you do. People are quietly selling you to others by telling them about their experiences with you. If the referred person doesn't have the same experience, then they're going to feel let down, and you're not going to get referrals from that person. A number of years ago, probably in the mid-1990s, I was running a small business taking people to Alaska fishing. And I would set up the trip, expedite it with a lodge, and we brought about 75 people over a couple of years to Alaska fishing. We were fairly successful at doing this. And one of the lodges I visited one year, they had an absolutely outstanding setup. It was just absolutely beautiful. The fishing was amazing. But what was really amazing was the chef they had and the food they fed us. I mean, it was incredible seafood. They had all sorts of unique meals, such as we had caribou meatloaf one night. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing, and the meals were just first class. So we went back and we set up a trip with about 10 people to bring them to the lodge, and we came up the next year. And of course, we were selling them the idea of great fishing, which the fishing was great. We sold them on the accommodations, which was great, and we really sold them on the food. Now, this is about a $5,000 trip per person, so this is not inexpensive. We got up there, and we flew in that morning and jumped on a boat immediately, spent all day fishing, had a great day fishing, and I was talking to the guide on our boat when we were going back to the lodge, and I go, "Hey, what's for dinner?" And he goes, "You wouldn't believe it." And I go, "Well, what are we having? I'm excited." He goes, "Cheeseburgers." I go, "Cheeseburgers? Holy smokes, we've been living on cheeseburgers for the last, 2 years at home. Aren't we going to have seafood or anything?" "No, it's cheeseburgers." And we went back, and the cheeseburgers were okay, but it wasn't what I sold the people that came on the trip. And they were very, very disappointed along with myself. We didn't get that same type of food as what we had the year before. And a lot of those people had the means of going back, but they didn't because there wasn't consistency there, right? Use checklists to build consistency. When you're booking somebody into your lodge, or you're booking a trip with somebody that you're going to take on a guided trip, have a checklist that you go through and, check off, yes, I've gotten, waivers signed. Yes, I've got their email. Yes, I've got their telephone number. Yes, I know what kind of drinks they want to have. And going through these checklists are always going to remind you of doing, what you need to do. Think of it as an airline pilot. Anytime an airline pilot gets into the cockpit, the first thing they do is they grab their checklist that are there to help them remember all the things that they need to do. It's on a clipboard, and they just go right on through it, and they do it every single time. Do you think they have it memorized? Of course they do, but they use a checklist just in case. So you need a pre-trip checklist before you take somebody out on a boat, right? Here are the things that we need to have done before that happens. What the bring checklist can be sent to the people that are coming on a trip with you. The trip checklist, departing checklist, a follow-up checklist. All these checklists are extremely important to give the consistency to your guests and to your clients. A number of years ago, I took my family to Disneyland. And if you've been to Disneyland down in Anaheim, you'll recognize this sign. This is the Jungle Cruise. And the Jungle Cruise is where you jump in that boat and you take a cruise down the simulated Amazon, and you see all of these hippos and alligators and elephants and monkeys and all the things that Disney has put together. And it's an amazing trip. But we were down there on a spring break, and the lines were long, and we were sitting there. It's kind of warm, and I had just gotten done reading the E-Myth. And the E-Myth is big on checklists and consistency. And I was going by this little office area they had, and the window was kind of open. You could look in and see in there. And by golly, there was this great big 3-ring binder that said Jungle Cruise Operating Checklist. I'm going, holy smokes, I'd love to look at that, but nobody was in the office. And I, just was looking in there trying to find somebody I could ask to take a look at this. Well, we snaked her back around, and then we came back to that office again, and the window was still open, and nobody was there. I thought, well, they probably won't mind. And so I reached in, I grabbed the book. It was about 300 pages, about the size of a phone book, and I read it for the next three or four turns waiting to get onto the cruise. And when I got by the office, of course I didn't keep it. I just slid it back in and I looked at it. But it was amazing what they had checklists for. If the hippo didn't open his mouth or the blank gun didn't go off, these are the things that need to be done. Everything was scripted to give everybody that same consistent experience that Disneyland is known for. Secret number 2 is simply ask. Learn to ask, right? Don't be ashamed or shy about or intimidated about asking. It's your business. It shows that you're proud. If I'm doing business with somebody, if I'm on a boat, it doesn't offend me at all at the end of the day if I've had a great time for somebody to ask me for referrals. I don't mind giving them because I know that's how I build my business, and that's, of course, how you build your business. You could say something like, at the end of the trip, you don't know anybody who'd like to go fishing, do you? Now, that's really not the way to ask, but if you're asking it, at least you're doing it. Or you could say something to the effect of, do you know anyone like yourself that you work with that would like to go on a guided trip like what we just went on? Now, what I did is I took all of the people that this person knows and I categorized it so that they only had to think of maybe 15 or 20. So do you know of anybody like yourself? And that way they're not confused going, oh my God, I'm thinking all the thousands of people that I know. Oh no, it's only the people at work. Oh yeah, Dave. Dave talks about going fishing all the time. So he'll give me Dave's name and telephone number, right? Another way to do this is, which is kind of fun, that I've seen work very successfully after you built a relationship. You say, hey, get your phone out, will you? They bring their phone out. Who was the last 20 people that you called? And they'll say, well, why is that? Well, just take a look at it. So they take a look at it. Are there any of those 20 people there that would like to go on a guided trip like what you've just been on? Again, you're niching it down. You're looking at people that probably they have a good relationship with. And if you pick up a referral that way, which you will, you'll get a lot of them, right? You'll get somebody that's very, very good. Lastly, here's Peter Falk. He's an actor. And some of you may be too young to remember the old show Columbo, but Peter Falk played a detective, and he was always disheveled and, hair messy and wrinkled clothes, but he was really good at what he did. And he'd go in and he'd kind of irritate people the way he conducted his interviews, and then he'd be leaving, and every single time he'd leave, he'd turn around, and you'll remember this from the show, he goes, oh yeah, just one more thing. And this was the key point. Well, asking for referrals can be the same way. You have a great day, you're picking up the boat, you shake everybody's hand, and just as you're shaking your hand, you start turning and turn right back and go, oh yeah, do you know anybody that you work with or bowl with or whatever you do with that would like to go on a guided trip like this? They'll give you referrals, I guarantee you, using this Peter Falk method. Secret number 3 is give. The good book says, give and thou shalt receive, and it's in that order. Gifting psychologically creates a sense of obligation. If you give somebody something, they feel obligated psychologically to give something back to you out of this obligation, if you may. Now, a gift isn't something that they expect. It's not a reward. We'll get into rewards in just a second. A gift is something that you give to somebody that they don't expect. A good friend of mine's a guide, and he has branded lunch coolers that he gives everybody that jumps on his boat. Everybody gets their own branded lunch cooler, and they get to take that home with them. You think they show that to their friends and they think they use it over and over again? Of course they do. Hats is another great way. If you have your logo embroidered on a hat, give away a hat. Coffee certificates, not only having coffee for them there in the morning, but going, hey, here's a coffee certificate for the drive home. There's a little store down here about 15 miles. Stop there, give them the certificate. You get 2 cups of coffee. I don't want you falling asleep going home. That's a gift. And people really, really appreciated that. They go, wow, this guy really is forward thinking, really not wanting us to, after a long day's fishing, to fall asleep. So he's buying us a cup of coffee on our way out. Smoke fish. I know of a guide that sends out smoked fish every 6 months to every year, and he sends the people that he hasn't been fishing with. Hey, I don't know what's happened to you, but haven't heard from you, so I thought I'd send you some smoked fish because you might have forgotten the taste. And by the way, right? Do you know of anybody that would like to go fishing and they get referrals that way? Also, having lures or a fishing item that you can give to somebody or send somebody, again, that's unexpected, will get you a lot of referrals. Now here's another resource. It's www.sendoutcards.com. This company is absolutely amazing. It's a way for you to go online and put in somebody's name and address, pick a greeting card, and then type in a little message, and then they print inside the greeting card this little message that you put in. They'll simulate your signature, and then it comes in a pre-stamped envelope. I mean, it isn't run through a postage machine. It's very, very touchy-feely. It makes people feel good, and you can even take photos that you've taken on a trip, and you can put them on the front of these greeting cards and send them out individualized. It's amazing. Now, this is a multi-level marketing company. Like I said, I'm not in the providing you things where I'm getting paid on them, but I've used send out cards in the past to reward or gift to my clients, because not only can you send them these greeting cards, but you can include a Starbucks gift card in it. You can include it with a box of brownies. Their brownies are absolutely amazing. Cookies, coffee beans, there's all sorts of things that you can add in. You create an account and you simply go in and put in people's names, and then these cards are sent out. It's a really, really nice touch, and the quality is extremely high from this company. Again, you don't have to join a multi-level marketing company to get involved. You can just be what I think they call it a retail account, where you just go in and you use the services without joining their MLM version. So anyway, sendoutcards.com is awesome. It's something, if I was a guide, I'd be looking into. Secret number 4 is rewarding. Rewarding is a little bit different than gifting, because a reward is expected. Now, you can reward cash, but that brings its own complications. And then there's other expectations that come with that, and it feels more like a business transaction. Rewarding someone with something that brings you more opportunity is better for your business. And so if you just give somebody cash, well, yeah, they'll remember you for it, but it doesn't necessarily bring you opportunity. If you give them a gift of a tangible item, it doesn't necessarily bring you opportunity. But you can reward people with something like bring a buddy fishing. If you can offer a coupon or offer an opportunity where you can tell your clients, if you bring somebody fishing with you this month that I've never fished for before, I'll give you 50% off of your trip. Now, you can split it between the two of you, or we'll just keep it secret between you and I, right? But I'll give you 50%. Now, it creates opportunity because they're bringing the buddy. The buddy then is selling you while they're in the boat, and then that buddy will probably start giving you referrals also. Another thing is, another way to do it is to have like a beat your buddy, right, opportunity, where you take somebody fishing and you make it a special trip. You probably price it a little bit more expensive than a normal trip, but at the end of the trip, they get a wall plaque that says, I beat my buddy fishing. You can do it on weight. You can do it on the number of fish. You sign it as the guide, and then they have bragging rights. Competition is a really good way of bringing people into the fold in regards to getting referrals and to building your business, because a lot of these guys like competition. And so if you offer them the opportunity to say to their buddy Dick is always saying, I can catch more fish than you. Well, let's prove it. My guide has a trip called Beat Your Buddy, and it'll be a fair and square competition. At the end of it, one of us will get a plaque and have bragging rights over the other. Let's go do that. Secret number 5 is systems. Systems to collect names and to collect information from your guests. Example systems would be to ask for an emergency contact information when booking a trip. Now, granted, a lot of times you'll get the spouse information, but if you get a brother, if you get a son, you get a fishing buddy and get their emergency contact information, then that would be an awesome referral that you can then contact them and say, hey, you've been listed as an emergency contact person. Here's my information if you need to get a hold of them. And oh, yeah, by the way, right? Have you ever considered fishing with a guide like myself? And you can start building rapport with those people. Offer to send, right? And I was thinking of you when I caught this fish card, maybe from Send Out Cards, with a picture of your client holding this fish. And you can provide that then to the people in your boat. They catch a great fish, you get a great photo. You go, hey, I got an idea. How about on your behalf, I send out a picture of this fish in a greeting card with the inside saying, I was thinking about you when I caught this, and I was laughing because you've never caught a fish this big, or something like that. And then you would send that card out for the customer, and then all of a sudden you've got that fishing buddy's information, right, that then you can start following up with. One thing that I've thought about over the years, and I've never seen it applied, but I think it would work really, really well, would be for lodges. Offer a 5-day email series to friends and buddies and relatives, right, for the guests that come to your lodge, so that they don't have to necessarily jump on a computer all the time and say, hey, I'm okay, went fishing today, had a great time. You just send out, you get their buddy's information or the emergency contacts information or their family members' information in regards to their name and email address, and then you plug it into what we call an autoresponder series, and every night an email goes out on their behalf to these people, just basically saying, hey, had a great day fishing today. Bob's been killing him. He's eating dinner right now, and then he'll enjoy the hot tub afterwards. He wishes you were here. We'll be in touch tomorrow. And offering this 5-day email series to fishing buddies and that sort of thing would be kind of fun. And of course, then as a lodge, you would get those referred leads. And then also maybe do a monthly drawing for a trip or two, for a trip for two, for someone that refers someone. And that way, yeah, you're going to give away a trip, but you're going to be fishing with not only somebody you fished with before, but their fishing buddy, and you can start building your referral base around them. As I mentioned about autoresponders, there's many different types of autoresponders that are available. There's one called MailChimp. All of these start with www. and then like this, MailChimp.com. MailChimp, it goes for the low price of free. You can load up to 500 contacts or potential contacts in the MailChimp, send them a monthly newsletter, and it's a free service. After that, they'll charge you for it, but up to 500 contacts, it's free. Aweber is a little bit different than MailChimp. It's sort of like MailChimp on steroids. Not only will it do newsletters, but it'll do autoresponders, series of emails that all you have to do is program in. It's amazing. And then there's a program out there called Constant Contact, which is a little bit bigger system than MailChimp, and it costs about $20 a month to do. And that was my wife in the background sneezing. Anyway, secret number 6. Working with vendors and others in the industry can be extremely lucrative. Now, the most obvious ones are like boat dealers and manufacturers, sporting goods stores, fishing associations, but some others, right, are like gun ranges. And you think, gun ranges? I'm a fishing guide. Why would I want to go, work with gun ranges? Well, if you are into fishing, you're probably into guns. And if you're into guns, you're probably into fishing. And what a great opportunity to maybe go set up a table on a Wednesday night while they're shooting skeet and, maybe sponsor a shoot or do something with the gun range out there. You'll meet 100, 200 people that would probably consider going fishing with you. And what a great way to expand your business. How about resorts and hotels, working with the concierge service? There's a lot of women now, and I don't mean to be sexist here, because of course there's women that like to fish also, but of course there's women that come to these conventions. They'll bring their husband. The husband isn't going to want to really go into the business meetings with them, and so he's looking for something to do. Well, if you're working with a concierge service and have a local fishing outing, right, that'd be a great thing for them. Chambers of commerce, tourism offices, travel agencies are big. Another thing not mentioned here would be like civic groups, such as Kiwanis, Lions Club, Rotary. I've sat through so many of those noon meetings listening to workers' compensation attorneys and CPAs and other politicians that my head would spin and I'd just get sick. And if you brought in a fishing guide to talk to me about the local fishing conditions and their successes and show me a bunch of great videos and pictures, I would have welcomed that. And these people are looking for people to bring in to be speakers at these noon meetings. And what a great way for you to build a referral base. Think about it. In a lot of these civic groups, the majority of the participants are affluent, middle-aged men. And I think that's maybe who you want in your boat, isn't it? Affluent, middle-aged men. And so again, I'll reiterate that point. These civic groups and going and talking to them make a lot of sense. In regards to vendors, maybe you could set up an Ask a Guide day. Work with a boat dealer or boat manufacturer on a Saturday, and you'll come out and set up a table, and you're there just to answer questions about the local fishing to people that are considering buying boats. Having a casting clinic, put that on maybe at a golf course at one of the local ponds, even a fly tying clinic. You can sponsor these shooting events. You can offer a resort package. Civic groups, as we talked about, is absolutely amazing. And secret number 7 is automate. Automation is the key to doing this on a consistent basis, and it sort of ties in with consistency. As a guide or lodge owner, you get busy. You're some of the busiest people I've ever known in my life because you are out of the office or away from the phone. You're fishing. You're making sure that people are having a great time. And then at the end of the day, you're cleaning up your boat and you're returning phone calls and email messages and text messages. And it's a never-ending cycle. And anything that you can do to automate it is a good thing for you. Automation of referral and marketing process is not just a good idea, it can be the difference between success and failure. Following are some of the examples of automation. You held a casting clinic for a local boat dealer, and you had someone go to your website and fill out the book a trip form. So once they go to the book a trip form that's shown here, you can have in that book a trip form an emergency contact person, and that person's information is then automatically sent to AWeber through that contact form, and now they're part of your email marketing and your newsletter list. Again, it's an automation process. Once you set it up, you don't have to set it up again. Another way is you held a Refer a Buddy contest using web and mobile form, and your clients entered in their referred leads, and then this gets tied in through a newsletter series through Constant Contact. Again, an automation process you've only got to set up once. You can set it up yourself or hire someone to set up these automation systems for you. So this concludes the educational part of the webinar. And so I've got to ask you, what's your plan for getting more referred leads?